Hello and welcome to Encouraging Words with Renae. This week we're going to be talking about how we need to raise our children in the right way, and that is in the way of the Lord. Charles Swindoll said, each day of our lives we need to make deposits in the memory banks of our children. Make a deposit. Like we make deposit monies into the bank, we need to make a deposit into the memory banks of our children. Isn't that an awesome thing to do? And remember, when we make that deposit, it needs to be of something positive, not something negative, because whatever children take in, they absorb into their system and they do not forget. So we want to teach them the right way. We want to train them up in the way of the Lord and in His righteousness. So this is an encouraging word to parents today about raising your children right. Now, be encouraged because I have children too, and I know that it's a task in raising children on the whole. Raising them right is definitely an addition to just raising children. And so it's a task that we have ahead of us as parents. And so we want to definitely take the advice of Charles Swindoll and deposit something good into their memory banks that will last for a lifetime. So many parents focus their attention on their children's grades, or they focus their attention on their extracurricular activities, like if they're into some type of sports or ballet or cooking, those are extracurricular activities that go beyond the school day. All too often I find we forget to put time and effort into nurturing another component of our children's success and development. One that is just as important and perhaps even more essential. It's being a good person, teaching them right and wrong. We have to do that stuff as parents. It's easy to forget the importance of countering the persuasive messages of instant gratification, consumerism, selfishness, prevalent in our society, all these things. And we don't want our children to grow up to be adults that don't know how to be satisfied, know how to say thank you, don't know when they've gotten enough, don't know how not to be selfish. We need to teach them to be kind. So all those things are present in our society right now as a whole. And we don't want to create more individuals like that. We want to create more individuals who are conscientious of how to be a good citizen. It makes the job of our policemen easier, our teachers, and it just makes a better society. So we want to do that. C.S. Lewis famously said, integrity is doing the right thing, even when no one is watching. Isn't that awesome? If you can tell your kid, listen, have integrity. Even if I'm not there, make sure you wash the dishes properly. Even if your teacher isn't there, make sure you do all of your schoolwork. Copy all of the notes. Do everything you're supposed to do without something hovering over you to say, you got to do this right. You didn't remember to do this. We do that as they're growing up, but they've got to get to a point where they've got to branch out on their own and be able to do this by themselves. And so we need to be good parents in that. Integrity, doing the right thing when no one is watching. How can we raise a good child? One will do the right thing even when no one may seem to do it, and when there may probably be no reward for it. We like to tell kids, if you do this, I'll give you, or if you get all A's, then we can go to Disney World, and we make these promises. But what if we get them to do the right thing even without a treat or without a reward? Wouldn't that be great? I think that would be awesome. While there is no guarantee formula, and I wish there were, here are some ways that we as parents can build good character and help our children to grow into better people. Okay? So these are just a few ways in which we can help our kids to grow into better people. One, we need to nurture empathy in our child. When we nurture empathy in our children, we're talking about emotional intelligence. Because empathy is the ability to put yourself in someone else's shoes and consider their feelings and their thoughts. That's what empathy is. And so we're getting in the emotions there. And it's one of the most fundamental traits in good people. Studies have shown that having a high emotional quotient, that is, being able to understand one's own feelings and the feelings of others, is an important component in the success in someone's life. So to encourage empathy in your child is to encourage your child to talk about their feelings and to make sure that he or she knows that you care about them. And when a conflict occurs with a friend or a sibling, ask them to imagine how they might feel if they were in the other person's shoes. How would they manage the emotion that they're feeling right now? And that can work positively toward a good resolution. So it's really important that we nurture empathy in our children. Number 2, encourage them to lift up others. So people are good at lifting themselves up, we know that. But we want to encourage our children to lift up somebody else, lift up some other person other than them. And so while stories about kids engaging in bullying and other bad behavior often make headlines, the truth is that many kids quietly perform good deeds in the ordinary course of their lives. Whether it's making a friend feel better, or they're pitching in and helping at a community center, or they're baking cookies for their class, or something like that. Encourage them to lift up other people and just not themselves. As you encourage this positive behavior, such as doing something to make someone's day better, even something as small as patting a friend on the shoulder when they're sad, be sure to talk about what negative effects behaviors like gossiping or bullying have on someone's emotions. Both people who are bullied and those who are doing the bullying need to know why it hurts. They need to know that it's a wrong behavior and it should not be practiced and it should not be tolerated. Number 3, we need to teach them to volunteer, give of their time. Now, giving of your time means there's no salary involved, there's no money involved, there's no reward involved. It is called volunteer. Free. Whether your child helps an elderly neighbor by shoveling the sidewalk, that's something that they can do, or help pack some canned goods into boxes for a donation to the shelter, that's a good thing to do. The act of volunteering can shape your child's character. When kids help each other, they learn to think about the needs of those that are less fortunate than them. And they feel proud of themselves for making a difference in the lives of somebody else. So teach your kids to volunteer. Number 4, you should offer your rewards sparingly. Don't be too generous on your rewards on their weekly chores or on getting the A's at school, like I mentioned earlier. You want to offer the rewards sparingly. That way, when it comes, it's appreciated. An important thing to remember when encouraging your kids to help others is to not reward them for every single good deed. That way a child won't associate volunteering with getting things for themselves. They'll learn that feeling good about helping others itself is the reward. So, the reward is, the gratification comes from doing the deed, Kids love encouragement and they thrive on their parents' approval automatically. So they will feel good about what they've done without getting the reward, so you don't have to do it. I mean, occasionally it's good, but it should be done sparingly. An occasional reward is just a great way to show how thankful you are for the thing that they are doing, okay? So remember that. And now we're at number 5. Number 5 talks about teaching them good manners. So if your child routinely practices the fundamentals of good manners, such as saying thank you and saying please, does she speak in a polite manner to people and address elders, as sir, or ma'am? Does she know how to greet people properly? Now, you guys know that I have a background and growing up, that's the British way we do things. We say yes, ma'am, and we say yes, sir. And I think within Americans, it is southern, in the southern area of town, is where people use those, more diplomatic titles for people, where they say yes, ma'am, and yes, sir. But it's a Caribbean thing for me, because that's where I am. We grew up under the British rule, and so that is something that we learned growing up. Be respectful of your elders. So we need to teach that to our kids, and so they can be respectful in many ways, not only by giving people a proper title, but they can be respectful in their tone of voice, in their attitude. There are many ways in which children can be respectful. They can say thank you, they can say please, they can speak in a polite manner to people and address them. They can greet people properly, and they need to be familiar with the good table manners, and be gracious, especially like if they lose a game. Let's say the kids are playing a board game like Monopoly or something, and they lose. They can't be the one that just throws down the dice in anger. No, be a gracious loser, and just say, oh, good game, that one's for you, let's play best out of three. Help them to learn to get along with others. So we've got to teach them good manners. Remember, you're raising a person who will go out into the world and interact with others for the rest of their life. And this little person, as they grow, will be at the dinner table with you, and they will be interacting with you every day until they leave your nest, till they leave your home. And so you can play an important role in shaping how well-mannered your child is. So that's number 5. Teach them good manners. And number 6 is treat them with kindness and respect. The most effective way to get kids to speak to you and to others in a respectful way is to interact with others in a nice manner by doing exactly that yourself. So it's kind of like follow the leader. Come on, let's play follow the leader. They do what you do. So as a parent, if you're respectful, they will be respectful. Think about how you speak to your child. If you speak to them in an ill-mannered way, they're going to speak to others in an ill-mannered fashion. So if you're not happy, don't speak harshly. Wait until you calm down and then speak to them. Now, I'm guilty of this too. Don't think that I'm just saying it to you. I get angry all the time. And oh yes, I do raise my voice and I get angry. And I know all my friends are out there saying, amen, Renae. I do. But I'm saying as parents, we need to be examples because kids are watching us. And so we need to be that example to them. Consider your way, when you're acting and thinking, and choose to be polite. Use the right tone. Even if you're talking about a mistake or behavior, just use the right tone. Number 7, discipline your child constantly. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean, parents should hold back on giving children gifts all the time. They should have boundaries and firmly but lovingly correct bad behavior. Is a good thing. It will not harm them. It will do them good. So you've got to firmly correct them, but do it lovingly. Okay? We're not abusing our children. We are lovingly and firmly correcting them. Children who are not disciplined are unpleasant. They're selfish, and they're surprisingly unhappy because nobody wants to be around them. So parents, you have to discipline them so that people might want to be around them when they go out, okay? Some of the many reasons why we need to discipline include the fact that children who are given clear rules and boundaries and expectations are more responsible kids. They're more self-sufficient, they're more likely to make good choices, and they're more likely to make more friends and be more happy. And that's a fact. That's not what someone's guessing. That's been proven time and time again. As soon as you see behavior problems such as lying or back talking or Anything that's out of the ordinary, handle the kids with love, but do it firmly. You need to understand that that's really important. The kids need to know that there are boundaries in every area of life. Everywhere you go, there's a limit, you know. Even presidents have a bound that they are bound by. Teachers have something they're bound by. Pastors have something they're bound by. So you can't get away with it as a child. Everyone has rules that they have to follow. That's just the way it is. Number 8, teach them to be thankful. Teaching your child how to be grateful and how to express that gratitude. It's a key component of raising a good child. Whether it's for a meal you've prepared for dinner or a birthday gift from grandma or grandpa, you need to teach them to say thank you for the things that they receive, whether it's during the holidays, or during their birthday, or just some special event, graduation. Teach them to say thank you. Be sure the child gets into the habit of writing maybe a thank you card, but these days everything's done electronically, right? On their cell phone, send a selfie with a smile saying thank you, grandma, or something, not as technically challenged as, I said the wrong thing. I am technically challenged. I'm not as good with technology as my children are, but they know how to do it. So give it to them and they'll do it. They'll get it done for you. Number 9, after we teach them to be thankful, we need to give them responsibilities. When children have an expected list of age-appropriate chores, because I think sometimes we give our kids unage-appropriate chores. I know back in the day, some homes I visited, I just kind of went, I don't know if a 5-year-old should be doing that, but that was a while back. So I'm hoping that those parents learned their lesson. So make sure they have age-appropriate chores. When children have age-appropriate chores to do at home, such as helping to set the table, or such as sweeping the floor, they gain a sense of responsibility and a sense of accomplishment. Doing a good job and feeling like they are contributing to the good of the household can make these kids feel proud of themselves and help them become happier people. So it's important that we give them responsibilities and that we give them age-appropriate responsibilities, okay? Number 10, model good behavior. So consider how you interact with others, even when your child isn't watching. Do you say thank you, or do you check out when you do check out at the market with the clerks in the food store? That's what I'm trying to say. You need to say thank you to the cashier. Thanks, have a good day. They will notice that you're being courteous. Do you steer clear of gossip about your neighbors or your coworkers? Children are watching that too. When you're on your phone, going away, gapping away, gossiping, they're watching that behavior. Do you usually find a friendly tone when you're addressing the waiters at the restaurant? Well, may I have some water, please? We're ready to place our order. Or are you saying, what's keeping them so long? Why? What's the problem? The cook went to lunch. They watch that behavior and they mimic that behavior. We don't want that. We do not want that. What we say directly influences how our children sees us and how they see the world. And they are going to follow what we do and what we say. If we want to raise good children, we need to conduct ourselves in a way that we want them to act. That's really important. Psalm 127:3 says, children are a heritage from the Lord. The same Hebrew word for heritage is nakala, is also used of God's people, the Israelites. In Psalm 28:9, which says, "O save your people and bless your heritage." Strong's Concordance describes Israel as God's special possession for whom he cared and he watched over, belonging only to him. Your children are your heritage, a unique possession that was given to you by God, a treasure for you to watch over. So It's your job to make sure that your children know that they're cherished, that they're cared for. You know, we have a God-given mandate to nurture them and love them and be there for them. That is our job in today's hectic, insane world. How do we do this? How do we care for our children? I will tell you in a minute. We're going to pray a prayer of how we're going to care for our children. Thank you so much for joining me this week. Don't forget, your children are an heritage from the Lord. That is the word I want you to take with you this week. I'll be right back to pray for you.